a decent horror game. That was my expectation with SIGNALIS. As a fan of Resident Evil and Silent Hill games, I assumed the experience will be similar to them, but what I got proved to be something else. What is SIGNALIS? SIGNALIS is a third-person, first-person, point-and-click action survivor horror game. The kind of a game not too different from the ones I have mentioned before. It has a very tight resource management and areas that loop around itself. Along the way, you will find save rooms with a storage box included. In this game, you will encounter zombie-like enemies whom you can shoot or sneak around them to conserve your bullets. When you are not shooting at the enemies, you will either be exploring the rooms for key items or solving puzzles. One of the things that I liked about the puzzles is the fact that they are refreshingly unique and interactive. Refreshing because, unlike in other survivor horror games, the solution is extremely logical and never obtuse. The answer is always within reach. Also, with the puzzles being interactive, the act of solving becomes much more involved. This is where the idea of point and click comes from. You can adjust the nodes of the lockpick, try different switches to restore power, or use the radio to find key codes. Moving on, the action and the horror is handled pretty well. It also handles tension, quite remarkable for a survival horror game. If you don't know what kind of tension I am talking about, then let me explain it through the gameplay. While traversing through the game, you may have noticed that your inventory is remarkably small. You cannot pick up everything you see, nor are you given a lot of bullets. This mechanism changes the way you interact with your enemies. Unlike in other games, the zombies are kind of required to be handled in a reserved manner. While exploring, you are sure to make a lot of return trips to the save room to dump all the loot in the storage box. Within all these trips, you are asked to decide what you want to carry. Do you want to carry a weapon? Can I carry more than one? Should I even carry any ammo? How much space should I leave? I can surely survive without any health kit, right? These are the things you have to decide whenever you are exploring. You can kill all the enemies in a corridor you frequently use. That way, you can save up on health kits, but you may have wasted bullets that could have been saved for more dangerous enemies in the future. You can save bullets by just sneaking around the enemies. If you are not careful enough, the enemies will be alerted and will attack you. In an encounter like this, you will be able to conserve bullets, but if you receive some damage, you may have to use a health kit. The decisions in the gameplay becomes all about how to handle the enemies before you, and managing your resources like ammo and health kits. All these details makes for an experience that you can say is quite tense, or should I say tension. It is the very core of a survival horror game that makes them very engaging and successful. The only thing that I didn't like about the game is the way the inventory system was implemented. In a game where it wants us to carry a lot of things, the 6 number of slots felt very restrictive. Due to this restriction, the number of return trips to the storage box dramatically increases. The gameplay then becomes dull and repetitive, which should not happen in a horror game where tension should be maintained. Other than that, there is one other thing that confused me the most in this game: the story. First, let me give you something of an idea. The game starts with our protagonist named Elster waking up from a long cryo sleep. After waking up, she quickly finds out that she is in an abandoned spaceship that had crashed quite a long time ago. While exploring the ship, we find out that she was not the only occupant of the ship. The photograph in the cockpit shows us what the other person looked like, with a name attached to it, Ariana Young. Determined to find about her companion, Elster ventures outside into the cold icy landscape. After a while, she stumbles into a strange circular hole. Going down the stairs, the bottom seemed to be filled with blood. Noticing a hole in the wall, Elster goes through it and finds herself in a regular looking room. If you turn back, there appeared to have no hole there. After picking up the king in yellow, the game throws a quickly edited sequence which may give you some information on what's going on. And then suddenly, Elster finds herself in front of a mirror in a bathroom. Outside of the bathroom, it is revealed to be some kind of facility. As Elster explores further, it appeared to be under some kind of an attack. Soon, we find a survivor. We ask them about the person in the photograph. Only here, we begin to notice something odd. We were looking for Ariana Young, not Alina Seo. Somehow, the person in the photo changed. It went from someone with white hair to someone with brown hair. That is the very idea I was talking about earlier, and also works for quite a compelling mystery hook. The game uses all kind of ideas in its storytelling. Unreliable narrator, multiple perspective, contradicting itself, little to no explanation, etc. It felt like the writers went out of their way to confuse me. Suffice to say, I was confused and still am. The cutscenes do not give a lot of information. All the extra story bits are given in the form of notes scattered throughout the game. The layout of the area does not make sense. In all of this confusion, it becomes very difficult to differentiate reliable information from unreliable. The example I presented earlier is very much a proof of that. Despite all of that, I found the story to be quite compelling. Also, I later understood that the incompleteness of the story was intentional. When you piece all of it together, it is revealed to be something that is tragic and also beautiful. It talks about love that emerges from isolation and the tragedy that follows after it. It also shows the effect a tragedy can have on multiple people. How the characters deal with it becomes the most important part of the main story. With a game like this, which has the quality of other highly acclaimed survival horror games, and a story that has layers to discover and themes to understand, it becomes very easy to recommend. Signalis has set a very high bar for an indie horror game. I only hope there is more like it. Thanks for watching.